Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning.
Waalaikumsalam. Good morning, Doctor.
Okay, so today we will continue with chapter 4, which is control flow. Okay, so what is the objective of this chapter is you are able to write a if else and switch case, and you know the difference between if else and switch case, and able to convert if else into a logical vector. Okay, and write a algorithm, loop algorithm, using for and while statement, and know the difference between for and while statement, and convert the for and while statement into a array. So basically you have two things today. So conditioning and looping. Okay. So 1, 2, 3 is if else or switch case, and the second part is the looping. Okay, so this is to recap. This is what you have to learn, okay, from statement, function, and then command. So, but for today, we focus on, okay, previous class, we focus on the assignment, okay, how to do a variable and that one. But today we will use number 2 and 3, which is repetition and decision. This is the loop one, okay, using while or for, or decision using if else, okay, or switch. So we start with the, okay, like I said before, there are two types of control flow, either loop, and you use while or for, okay, and the conditional one is the if else, okay. So basically today we will learn both. Okay, before I proceed, I will introduce you to Matlab Script. Okay, what is Matlab Script? Matlab Script is a simplest type of program. Okay, no input, no output. Okay, it is automating a series of Matlab command. Okay, Matlab command. Okay, so what it means that, okay, okay, and the script is called amp5. Okay, so you have to open your Matlab. Okay, usually before this, you write every code. Your code is in here, right? A equal to something like here in the command window. Okay, but for today, because this is program, okay, the for function and loop function is require a lot of coding. So if you use command window, it is quite difficult to do that. So what you have to do is, if you look here, top here, there are new script. Okay, so click that. Okay, it will create a Matlab script instead of you using a command window. Okay, so basically when you, the difference is in the command window you have to write one by one, right? But for Matlab script you have to write everything first, and then you have to press run. Okay, at the top, press run and it will run everything. Okay, and make sure here there are what you call the address, okay, the location of to save or to run this program. So make sure you choose correctly. So go here, okay, open here and choose anywhere that you want to save your script. So basically this script will never gone. For command window, when you close, it gone. But for script, it's just like a document file. It will save your coding. So I choose to save in the desktop. Okay, so save, and you write anything, give name to the file and save. So at the current folder here, you can see that your file, the M file, is saved. Okay, make sure you create this. So I already introduced you what is M file, okay, or new script. Now we continue with the conditional. Okay, so what is conditional? So as I said before, it is the decision of your if else or using switch case. Okay, you remember chapter 1, you have conditioning. So you have to understand how to do that. Okay, like I said before, okay, you have if else, okay, if, else if, else. Okay, first condition you have to use if, the next condition you have to use else if, and the last condition you have to use else. Else means that if there is no condition that follow this, okay, it will goes to this. This is basically a default for else. Okay, so don't forget when you use this if, make sure you write and, okay, for the condition. Okay, similar, you can also use switch. Okay, for if else or you have to use condition. But for switch, you have to look at the variable here. Okay, for example here switch n means that look at n variable, and then if case n is something, it go this system. If case n is something, it will go to this. Otherwise, it's basically the default, like else. Okay. Okay, we start with the single if else. Okay, you can either use a single if else or nested if else. Okay, so nested means that there are if else, and then inside the if else there are other if else. But for this case, the first example is just a single if else. So for the first example, you can see that x is equals to 2, and if else, if x is less than 0, display negative, and else display non-negative. So you can see here, x is more than 0. So basically it will display this. Okay, so you can try. Okay, put inside the editor, inside the script. Okay, you can see here there are error. Okay, you can see that when Matlab determine the error, it will underline with red. Okay, so this is because of this. So just replace this with the new one. Okay, that's it. Okay, the code cannot copy from the file, from the slide. Okay, you just replace this. Okay, replace with just press your keyboard, the same thing again. So you can run it. Okay, so you can see it is a non-negative, the answer. Okay, make sure you don't collect your common window. You have to submit it like previously in the tutorial section. Okay, so you can see that when you run here, you get non-negative. But for example, if you run -2, okay, -2 is x is less than 0, means that you have to display this. So you get the new answer, negative. So next, we move on to the second example. If 79 display true, else display false. Okay, for this case, there are no condition. For example, here, the first one, example 1, there are condition, x is less than 0. But for this case, there's no condition. So what is this mean? That this is they assume it as a logic. Okay, anything 0 will be false. Anything true will be, anything other than 0 is true. Okay, so we check this coding. Okay, again, this one, you have to replace it. Okay, run it. You get answer true. Okay, because 79 is 1. How about negative 79? Also true. Okay, anything the non-zero number is always 1. But if it's 0, it is false. Okay. So next, example 3. So for this case, you have to recall back your knowledge on the root of quadratic equation. So you have a squared ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So to find the root, okay, you have to use this formula. So recall back how to get this formula. Okay, this is how you get the root for this equation. But for this coding, okay, the coding task is to find a similar root or different root. Okay, so for you start with the input. Okay, this one I think you're still new at this. Input is basically you input a value. So this one is just a text, a string. It will show inside the command window, and then you write the number. It will store the value inside the variable a, b, and c. So d is basically this equation. Okay, and then if d equals to 0, means that this one is have the same root. Okay, remember, if this is negative, b squared minus 4ac is negative, it is a complex root. Is 0, it has a similar root, and positive means that it has different root. So for this case, you can see here, if d equals to 0, okay, means that similar root, and okay, and you have to put double. For if else, you have to put double n. And a is not equals to 0. If a equals to 0, means that this is not a quadratic equation. You cannot use this formula to get the answer. So that's why you have to put two conditions. Okay, and then if has same root, means that d is 0. Okay, this one is 0. The formula is just negative b divided by 2a, which is this. Else means that other than this condition, just display different root. So again, copy the coding. Okay. So if you run here, oh yeah, you have to change again this one. Okay, make sure you change this. Okay, so it will display this. Okay, for a input a value, it will display here. So you put the value, for example, 1, and then it will run the second one, input b. Okay, so it will store the value b. 2, again, next c, it will run here and store the data inside here. 3. Okay, for this case, you have different root. Means that d, okay, d here is not equals to 0. Okay, so how about if you want to get d equals to 0? So 1, negative 3, 3. Yeah, 3, 6. How about 6 and 9? So see, because this one, okay, this value x squared plus 6x plus 9 is a similar root. So d is equals to 0, and of course a is not equals to 0. You get the answer here. Okay. So we move on to the next example, example 4. Okay. Okay, for this case, okay, this one you have if and else. You have only two conditions. Okay. But for this case, okay, you have more than two. So you have first condition, second condition, third condition. Okay. This one, the first condition is the similar root, as same as the example 3. Else if is for the two root. Okay, non-complex root means that D. Okay, remember D is positive. Anything square root or positive, you can get a number. So you can see here. So B squared, use this formula, negative B plus and minus. Okay, plus and minus. This one. Okay, so you will get the answer. And then else means that D is less than 0. It is a complex root. So you have three conditions, 1, 2, and 3. So let me test this. And of course, you have to change this one and this one. Okay, run it. Oh, of course, you have to copy back from example 3. Okay, this one you have to add back the value. Okay, you have to insert this back. So of course, it will ask for value 1, 2, 3, for example. So this is a complex root. It will go to this one. Okay. So another example is, okay, run again. Okay, 1, 6, 9. Okay, 1, 6, 9. Okay, and it doesn't come out. Oh, okay. So this one. Okay, you have to delete the semicolon. Okay, if you don't delete the semicolon, the answer will not show. Okay, again, 1, 6, 9. Okay, you get the answer, x1 and of course x2. Okay, 1, 6, 9. So you will get the answer x1 and x2. Okay. So how about this one? Positive. Okay, of course, you have to remove the semicolon. If not, you cannot see the answer. So I run this again. Okay. 3, 6, 9. Okay. 3. Okay. 105. See, you will get this condition. Okay. X1 is this one. X2 is this one. Okay. You will get two answers. Okay, we continue with example 5. So I said before, okay, you have single, you have multiple condition, okay. Okay, this is multiple condition. And then this one is nested if. Nested means that you have if inside and if, okay. So for example here you have if, okay, you have the first if for this one, and then you have the second if, okay. So you have two condition, one condition inside another condition. So the same coding actually, okay, but this one using nested loop. So if A is not equals to 0, means what? this one is just to make sure, okay, just to make sure that it is a quadratic equation. So just consider A equals to 0, not equals to 0. And if this condition is true, then it will run the program. If not, okay, it will use a linear equation formula. Okay, so basically, so you have if A is equal to 0, is basically you have y equals to bx plus c. So x equals to find the root, of course, y is equal to 0. So x is equals to negative c divided by b, which is this case. Okay. So this is the program just to determine the first loop. The first condition is just to determine whether this is a the quadratic equation or not. Okay, next, then they will try to solve this. Okay, of course, this one is like before. This is for if the root is the same. This one if the root is normal number. Okay, the d is positive. Okay, and then this one is a complex number. So we just display it is just a complex root. So you have the first root. Okay, this one is the first root. Okay, the first if else, and then you have the second if else. Okay, you have two n. So make sure you understand what is nested loop. Okay, now we move on to the second type of conditioning, which is switch case. Okay, so it is almost similar. You can use either way. Okay, so this one, else if is greater for variable condition that result into a boolean. Okay, either positive or true or false. Okay, switch is better for fixed value data. Okay, so this one is much more better if you use switch. So I give you an example here. N is the input data. Okay, of course the input, enter value. So switch n. Okay, so you analyze the number here, and then case if case what happen if n is -1, display this. Case if n is entered number n is 0, it will choose this. And case is 1 here, it will choose this. Otherwise, it will display other value. Okay, this one is just a default. If there is no case to go to. Okay, so you can try run this program. Okay, so enter a number. Okay, let me clear this first. Okay, run back. Okay, we start with case 1, which is -1. So n is -1, so it will display this. Okay, if run again, case is 0. So enter 0, you will get display 0. Okay, I run this again, 1, it is positive 1. Otherwise, okay, this one is the default one. Okay, I run this again, so maybe 10. So it will show other value. Okay, so run again, maybe 20. Of course, it will go to the default, which is otherwise. Okay. So I think switch is easy also. Okay, you can try this. Okay, now we move on to the decision using logic. Okay, I think this one is already been learned before. Okay, you use logic to do the decision. Okay, the problem with using if, else, and switch is that the coding takes time. Okay, the processing is required to do this takes time. So it is, if you want to do a fast coding, okay, fast result, I recommend you use a logical. So how to convert if else to logical decision? Okay. So this one, as I mentioned before, they are always faster and easy to read. Okay, I give you example 7. Okay. So this is how to calculate income tax. Okay. If the income, okay, your income is less than 10,000, okay, the tax will be 10%. But if your income is between 10,000 and 20,000, you have to pay 1,000 ringgit income plus 20% of the income exceeding 10%. Okay, means that, for example, you have your income is 15, okay, 15,000, means that you have to pay this one, okay, you have to pay the 1,000 ringgit as well as 20% of exceeding 10%, which means 5. Okay, 5,000. You have to calculate the 20% of 5,000. So this is how you calculate the income tax. Same here. If more than 20,000, the same thing. You have to pay 3,000 plus 0.5 for the amount exceeding 20k. So for example here, if your income is here, of course you have to pay the 3,000, okay, as well as 50%, which is 0.5 here, and then the income of itself, okay, 30,000 here, and then minus 220k, which is this one, and you get the answer. So you have to understand the problem first, then you can do the coding. So this is how to do the code. Okay, of course you have to input first the income. Okay, you have to insert the income. Okay, and if you use if else, you can see here, if income is less than 10,000, just 10%. And then else if you have the second condition, if the income is between 10,000 and 20,000. So for this case, you can see here, okay, you don't have to put between 10,000 and 20,000, because if it is the condition already been it will go here first. So automatically this one will be 10k to 20k. So it will automatically between this range. Okay. So tax is equals to this equation. Of course, 20% multiplied by income minus 10. Okay, 10k. Else means that it's not following this condition. Okay. So try to understand how to do this. So you have 10k, 20k, 30k. So it will be in series. For if this one condition means that you already eliminate this. Okay. If this condition, it only consider this. Okay. Then if you consider this, else means that it will eliminate this and calculate only this. Okay. So make sure you understand how to do this. And then display, of course, display the value. Okay, num to string, basically you take this or this number to string and then combine with this. So let us test this program. Okay, of course, you have to change several things. This one, this one. Okay. Okay, let us run this. Okay, for example, income is 5K, 5,000. So of course, 10%. Then how about 12,000, 12K? Okay, of course, you have to pay 1,000 ringgit plus 20% of the increased income. So income is 12 minus 10, you get 2,000. 2,000, 20%, you get 400. So 1,400. And then other case, which is more than 20K. So 30, 25. So you will use this. Okay. So you have to do practice how to convert, for example, this table, how to convert this table into if-else condition. Okay, from this to this. Okay, that one is using if-else. Like I said before, decision using logical vector is much more faster. So this is how to do this. Okay, you just use logic. Okay, the if something you put here, the condition. This one is the statement. Okay, remember, okay, this one, okay, this is the condition, this is the statement. Just convert this into this form. And then you just plus it. So how to do this? So remember this is the formula. It's from the table. Okay, so just use this. So text one is this formula, the statement, and then multiply by the logic. Income is less than this. Okay, for text two, you have to use this, but for this case, you have to make sure that you put the range. If you do using a logical vector, okay, decision using a logical vector, you have to put the condition and make sure the n is only 1, not 2. Okay, and the third one is more than 20K. The formula, of course, the statement and multiply by the logic. And then you have to add everything, the text 1, text 2, text 3, and display this. Okay, so what it means that, for example, if the payment is less than your income is less than 10,000, okay, this one, okay, automatically it will become 1. Okay, this one, this logic is 0 because it is less than 10,000. And this one also 0. So 0 multiplied by anything will be 0. So text 1 and text 2 will come 0. And it only consider text 1. Okay. Same here, if the text, your income is between 10 to 20, okay, it is logic will become 1. So 1, it will consider this. And this one will become 0, this one will become 0. So the summation is just 0 plus value plus 0. Okay. So try to understand how to convert from the if-else or state for switch statement into a decision using logical vector. Okay. So next we will learn about control loop. So before I proceed, okay, we take a break for 5 minutes. In the meantime, check in your attendance. Okay, if you are SEEE, you use the first figure. If you're SKEE, you use the second figure. Okay, we continue with the loop control. Okay, for loop control, you have two code you can use. Either you can use for function or while function. Okay. For for, you can use a index array and then statement for while it is a conditioning. Okay. So different thing you can use. And also you will introduce with the break. Basically, break is to go out from the loop. Okay. If you use break, it will go out from the loop. Okay, we start with the first example. Okay, compound interest. So this one, if not mistaken, you already look at it. So B is the final balance equals to A multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate and power of the year. This means that if, for example, you have A is 100 ringgit and the interest rate is 8%, okay, your saving is A, which is 100 ringgit, and then the interest rate is 8%, and you store that 100 ringgit for 10 years, how many? After 10 years, how much your money? So this is the basic formula. So how to calculate this? Okay. If you want, okay, for example, here you have A equals to 100. You want to know what is the final balance if you for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, and 8 and 10 years. Okay. So basically, n changes. Okay, this n changes. This one is fixed, and this is the output. So firstly, you have to set the constant first. A equals to 100, R equals to 0.08. And then this one you use 4. So for n equals to, of course, this one is the vector. So n is 2 until 10, which is this value. And B is equals to this one, A multiplied by this. Okay. So of course, n changes. Okay. For loop, basically this one run until n is 10. So display n and p. So you will get the answer. So let me run this. Okay. So you can see here. So display n, okay, year and b, which is the final balance. So you can see here for 2 years, after 2 years, your money increased from 100 ringgit to 116. But if you store for 6 years, your 100 ringgit will become 155. If you store the money for 10 years, okay, which is this one, okay, it will become 215. Okay, that is how you use the loop function. Okay. Next is while. Okay, how to solve the same problem using while. Okay, for while, this one is using logic instead of vector. That is the difference. If you use for, it will look at the vector. But if you use while, it will look at the condition. Okay, you can see here, this is the same one, the constant, and n is the equals to 2. Basically, this one is the beginning. Okay. So for the beginning is 2. So while n is less than 10, this one is the final value. This one is the formula. This is the result, of course. This one is the step. N is equal to n plus 2. So the new n is plus the previous n plus 2. Okay. So you have to do like this. And then if you run, it will produce the same answer. Only the little bit different on the coding. So if you use for, it will use vector. And if you use this, it will use logic. Okay. So you can try run this, you will get the same answer. So example, returning vector as output. So for this case, I think we don't have enough time to go through here. So we will stop for until example 10, and we will continue next week. Okay, before I end the class, any question? Okay, if no, make sure you know what we learned today. So which is, okay, so you learn about the control flow. Okay, I introduce you the Matlab script. Okay, if else, how to use if else, how you use switch for single if else, multiple if else. Okay, nested if else means that if else inside the if else. Okay, switch case, you learn about switch case today. And then the decision using logic. So you have actually 3. So if else, while switch, okay, and logical. Okay, you can use that for the conditional. And of course, for loop, you have 2 tools that you can use. Either you use for or while. Okay, so you are introducing with a simple loop and for while. Okay, so that's it. We will discuss the next part next week. Okay, thank you.
Betul.
Doktor,
Yes.
kan setiap example tu kena buat satu file ke boleh sekali kan?
Sekali je, senang.
Boleh sekali kan
Yeah.
Lepas tu
Just
kalau
combine everything into one.
untuk submission tu doktor nak command window ke
Common window only.
command window ni? Okey.
Yeah.
Coding tak nak
Coding is the same, right, for everything.
Okey.
So you don't have to change the coding.
Just hantar command window
Yes, common window. I just want to make sure that you run the program.
Example 1 until 10.
Yes, correct.
Okay, doktor. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. See you next week.
See you next
Thank you,
week, doctor.
doctor. Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, doctor.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you,